Welcome to Unique Movie Recaps. The movie being sealed in a cave for an unknown number of years, a swarm of murderous creatures sensitive to sounds escapes, attacking different towns and cities. They wreak havoc and everything noisy in there. Waken a deep girl and her family survive the apocalypse. Let's find out. Guys, in the movie, in an uncharted cave system in Pennsylvania to keep researchers reach 1,000 feet beneath the Appalachian Trail, the woman researcher reports to the surface team as soon as they make a hole through a floor leading into a second chamber. At this time, the woman is interrupted by a noise they hear further down the chamber. Listen for a while, trying to figure out what's causing the noise. Suddenly, some flying creatures attack and brutally murder the researcher. They fly, but the surface the scene changes to the town Montclair, New Jersey. A young woman named Allie Andrews became death after a car accident. Although she manages to adapt quickly to the silent world, she is still not safe from high school's biggest threat. Next to recitations and exams, bullies boys are mocking her, calling her name even though they know that she will not hear. Meanwhile, her father, who works at a construction company along with his best friend named Glenn, they're dealing with a jacket quiet but who has to suck it up because he can't afford to lose a job. At this time, Kelly, Hugh's wife, calls and asks him to pick up their mother's prescription. She also informs him that Allie is still getting bullied at school and he was visibly worried for his daughter. While walking home, Allie's approached by her boyfriend. Rara tells Allie that his parents will buy him a new car. Remembering what happened to her, Allie says your parents would never let her drive again. Robin says that he will just pick her up every day. At home, Allie is greeted by their dog named Otis. Kelly asked why she is late, to which Allie answers that she just walked from school. Hearing this, Kelly is worried for her daughter, but Allie tells her that she's with a friend. Even though Allie says she and Rob are just friends, Kelly knows that they are more than just friends. Allie's grandmother Lynn teases her with Rob. Later that night, the family has dinner and they are shown to be a very happy and close family. After dinner, Allie sees Lynn smoking outside. Lynn tries to jokingly deny the cigarette in her hand. Caught red-handed, she asked her granddaughter not to tell Kelly about her smoking again. Allie assures her grandmother that you will not told her mother. Afterward, Allie watches a video that Rob sent to her. It is a video of a flock of birds flying around, or the birds. At this time, her father shows up and talks to her. He asked about Rob and Allie says that he is a good guy. In fact, Robbie then learned sign language to communicate properly with her. Huge then asked about school. Allie guarantees her father that everything is fine after saying that she can talk to him about anything. Uses good night to his daughter. Allie then goes to sleep, but at around 3 o'clock she's suddenly woken up by Kelly. Looks uneasy and says something is happening. Allie goes downstairs and sees her whole family watching TV. The news is about the attacks in different cities in the United States. Glenn also arrives of their house, clueless about what is happening. There are no firm information if it is a terrorist attack or biochemical attack. Changing the news channel, they watch footage of a horrible aftermath of the attack. People lie down on the ground, dead, mutilated, and it seems like some parts of them are eaten. Another viral video is shown in the news where a mother and her son are stuck inside their car. Her son's mouth is covered with duct tape and the mother put up a sign that reads "Don't make noise." Then all of a sudden they hear an explosion outside, scaring the whole family. Shua and Glenn check outside and they see fighter jets flying around. Knowing how dire the situation is, they get back inside and Hugh orders his family to put all their phones in silent mode. Then the news finally shows the footage of the cave researchers that were attacked after they blasted a hole through a rock. Through the camera, the surface team, they see that hundreds or maybe thousands of flying killing creatures are flying outside the surface, and emergency broadcast system is then shown reminding the public to stay indoors and not make any noise. Glenn planned to head out to get some gears that they can use. The Who stops him, thinking quickly. Ellie points out that cities are the most dangerous place if those creatures are attracted to sounds. The family immediately starts to pack their things up. Lynn asks Kelly to hide her medicines because she doesn't want the kids to know that she is terminally ill. As it turns out, Lynn has lung cancer. Kelly says to her that they can just stay if she doesn't want to go, but Lynn says that nothing is more important than the kids' life right now. Kelly, Lynn, Ellie, and Otis go in their family car while the youngest in the family, named Jude, goes with Glenn after seeing a gun in his car. Do things. Glenn is cool, so he wants to ride in his car. Then they head out to the countryside, which quieter. The scene changes to a subway train where all the passengers are stranded. They are trying to stay as quiet as they can be. However, a baby starts crying, afraid and desperate. Other passengers, a victim mother and the baby from the train. The mother quietly wanders through the dark railway tunnel, doing your best to keep the baby quiet, but when the pacifier drops, the baby starts crying again. The mother tries to run back to the train, but the monsters get to her first. The passengers watch as she and her baby are killed by the creatures. Going back to the Andrews, they hear on the radio that a state of emergency has been declared in the entire eastern seaboard. The death tolls are also described as being catastrophic. He is talking Yurok through her iPad. She wants to persuade him to follow them up north, but Rob's family decides to stay at home following the government's advice. Seeing Ali cry, Rob comforts her, saying that everything will be over soon. Then they promise to stay in touch with each other. After a while, the family stops at the gas station. Ali accompanies Oldest to Pete while Glenn gather supplies. You ask Dude how used, to which the kid says he's afraid. His father assures him that he's safe with Glenn as you tell you the story of how he and Glenn met back in high school when lacrosse players were bullying Hugh. Glenn stepped in to fight off the bullies. Judas is amazed by the story, and he wishes that he could be as brave as Glenn. You says he is being brave now. When Ellie and Otis are about to get back to the car, the dog suddenly barks at a man, pointing his guide them. The man orders Ali to shut the dog up. Kelly and you try to talk to them and peacefully, saying that Ali can't hear him because she's deaf. He fires a warning shot, scaring the family, but it makes Oldest angrier. The man then asked for the key to their car. When he was about to hand the key to him, the man is suddenly shot by Glenn. Bogus also charges that the man. Glenn picks up the man's gun and they leave him in the gasoline station. The next day, Dude transfers to his family's car. Searching through the internet, Ali discovers that the creatures are called Vests, been trapped in that cave for God knows how long. The creatures mutate into what they are now at this time, however, that are caught up in traffic. Glenn tells you to follow a van to go off-road. Did all of a sudden a herd of deer appears in front of Glenn's car. He tries to avoid hitting them, causing his car to tumble down the embankment. Shu and Kelly immediately run to the car. Luckily, Glenn survives, but his leg is stuck. Kelly tries to call for an ambulance while Hugh tries to open the door. However, Kelly cannot contact the emergency line, and the doors to Glenn's car jam. Glenn tells you what they should just leave him, but she doesn't want to leave his best friend. Glenn then asks for his gun, asked what he wants to do with it. Glenn tells you that he will shoot if they don't leave. You finally agrees to leave, but he promises Glenn that they will come back with help. Going back inside the car, starts bark, and then the Vests start attacking their car. Ellie tries to stop Otis from barking while Lynn also starts screaming in fear. Realizing what's happening, Glenn fires a couple of shots to get the Vest's attention. He shoots the creatures, but there are too many of them. Unfortunately, Glenn dies, and for their own safety, you lets us out of their car. Kelly and Lynn comfort the kids, saying that letting Otis go is for their own good. The family decides to stay put for a while because there are still some Vests in the area, but they know that they cannot stay there any longer. Q gets out of the car as quietly as he could to pick up the crowbar he threw earlier. Unfortunately, Lynn coughs loudly and a Vest starts scratching their car again. She manages to pick up the crowbar and throws it away. Seeing the Vest attacks the crowbar instead of him, you confirms that the creatures are blind. Ali realizes that they have some sort of advantage as they know how to live in silence because of her condition. She signs that they need to find shelter before it gets dark. Thinking of a distraction, you ask for Lynn's lighter. That's when Kelly discovers that her mother is still smoking, who goes back to Glenn's car only to see his best friend's dead body, but having no time to spare for mourning, he lights the car on fire. As soon as the car explodes, the family continues on foot to travel more quietly. When Link gets tired, they stop for a while to rest. At this time, Yu apologizes to Allie for sacrificing Otis. Allie assures him that it's okay and that she understands why it had to be done. At the same time, while looking through his binoculars, Jude spots a house nearby. The family starts to make their way to the house so they can settle in for the night. Arriving at the place, they see that the house is lit up, indicating that there are people living there. Yu tries to open the gate with the rebels attached to it. The noise made by the bell immediately attracts a vest to fly towards it. The family quickly gets away from the best. At this time, an old lady gets out of the house with her shock, ordering him to leave her property. The family signals her stay quiet, but she keeps talking loudly. As expected, the Vests attack her. Worse, she keeps shooting her gun blindly, attracting more Vests to attack her. The family watches in horror as the old lady gets brutally killed by the creatures. Then the family uses a storm drain to enter the house. Who goes first, and he manages to get through the drain easily. Meanwhile, the Vests are still busy eating the old woman. When everything is clear, he signals his family to follow him. However, a rattlesnake appears in front of Jude as first an ally. The rattling of the snake echoes through the drain, attracting the Vests. When a Vesper attacks the snake, other Vest by Kelly's behind in order to save this family, who turns on the wood chipper to attract and kill the Best. As they settled in the house, they treat Kelly's world. Afterward, Hugh and Lynn have a drink, and LA is trying to reach Ruff. When Allie finally reaches Rob, he tells her his family was attacked and his parents died. Worried about him, Allie begs Rob to either their house and go where they are currently staying, but the cause suddenly gets disconnected. The next day, Lynn checks and Kelly's wound and finds that it's not getting any better. She then informs Hugh and Allie about Kelly's condition. According to Lynn, who used to be a nurse, without antibiotics, infection on Kelly's wound will spread in no time. With no other options, as and Allie decide to sell to find some antibiotics. After leaving a gun to Lynn for protection, the father and daughter leave. The first challenge that human LA encounters the lock gate with a bell attached to it. Hugh unlocks and opens the gate as quietly and carefully as he could, avoiding ring the bell. Luckily, they managed to get out of the gate without alerting it. He Vests on their way. They found two dead bodies, but these people are not killed by Best. One of them also has a sign attached to his shirt that says Chef. They feel it's something off is happening around the town. As they reach the town, Hugh and Allie immediately head to a drugstore. He don't notice that someone is watching them from afar. As Hugh and Allie enter the store, they see many mutilated bodies. Shortly after, Allie discovers some Best bags nesting on dead bodies of Best. Chick flicks a hole in its soft shell, squirting some liquid into Allie. She accidentally gasps loudly and disgust, alerting some Vests. Seeing this, Allie and Hugh freeze, not wanting to alert more Vests at this time, as he sees a sprinkler system implanted to show. She slowly hands a marked as to which he lights up on fire, pointing it to the sprinkler system. The alarm goes off and the Vests fly around blindly. When they leave the drugstore after getting the antibiotics, they finally see the man watching them earlier. The man holds his hands up, showing that he's not a threat. He then approaches and shows them writing and his notebook. It says that he's a reverend and he's asking them to join his flock. Have pushed. It turns out that this timeless cult rises during the apocalypse. The father and daughter respectfully decline the offer of the reverend, but the man seems to not like their refusal. As the father and daughter arrive home, Lynn immediately treats Kelly's wound using antibiotics. After the treatment, Kelly starts to feel better and she takes a bath. And the tough at the living room, he was trying to find a channel, so he gets an information. Allie tells him that although the TV channels are down, CN manages to broadcast on social media. She tells his father that according to the news that don't like the intense cold, that's why people in the Arctic region are surviving. However, there is something called the Gray. It is an area where there is no electricity and people are cut off from the outside world when their gadgets run out of battery. Afterward, Hugh goes to a makeshift spear he made. To their surprise, the Reverend finds their safe house and brings some cult members with him. Seeing this, Hugh goes up to talk to him. The Reverend is asking them again to join their cult, taking the Reverend's notebook. You write to them to leave his family alone. When he was about to get back inside the house, the Reverend writes that the girl is fertile. Pertain to all I piss you, picks up a gun and pointed at them, but with the bester on. The cultists know that he won't pull the trigger. When the Reverend writes share his notebook, you realize is that it was the cult that killed the two dead people they found before and after. Showing his cut off time to Hugh, the Reverend and his people leave. The scene changes to Ali resting, which he receives a message from Rob. Ali asks where he is, to which Rob answers that he's heading north to a place called the Refuge. With their conversation is interrupted with Ali loses her internet connection. Meanwhile, Hugh tells Kelly that they have to head north. Aside from the best, they're also no longer safe with the cult stalking them. The husband and wife kiss to express their love for each other. In the middle of the night, while everybody is resting, you hear something from the outside. He wakes up Kelly, and they wake everybody up except Olwen, who checks through the glass of the door. He sees nothing, but when Jude checks it, he sees a girl standing outside being sympathetic to let the girl inside the house. As the adults attend to the girl, they discover that her tongue is cut off and realize that she's part of the cult. Unzipping the girl's jacket, they see the smartphones attached to the girl. As the alarms go off, it turns out that the cult is attached smartphones. Around the house, they turn off the phone's alarm as fast as they can. With there are so many smartphones scattered around the house, alarming and running at different times, this causes the best to start barging inside the house. The cult then takes the opportunity to kidnap Ali. Kelly and Lane try to stop them. They can't fight off the men. After securing Kelly, Lynn quickly runs after Ali. She tackles the kidnappers. His Ali bites one of them. Would Ali gets far enough when screams her lungs off, something the best to attack her and the kidnappers, but it's too late to stop her grandmother since allocate your screen. Unfortunately, Lynn dies. With the cult still has Ali. As they leave, the referencing was the family to stay quiet, with family not letting the cult take away Ali, Kelly and Jude charge of the cult, taking them down one by one. However, the Reverend manages to stab you. Not giving up, you continued fighting until the only cultist left, or the girl they helped earlier, and her mother. After securing Ali's safety, the Andrews let the mother and daughter go away. As the family return to the house, the scene changes to the family trekking across the country. They spend days and nights walking in hopes of arriving in a safer place for them to settle, and then one day they finally arrive at the refuge. There, Ali finally gets an internet connection and reconnects with Rob through a messaging application. Ali wonders if the vests will eventually mutate and adapt to the cult. Deep in her heart, she knows they can, but can humanity also evolve and adapt to a new world of silence? Right now, it is just a matter of time to know which species adapts first. The vests.
Subscribe and press the bell so you don't miss any updates.